Hey, welcome back to the project. Today on CrossFit.com is a great workout called EVA. I'm not sure who it's named after, but think of a very strong, badass human being. And this workout is no joke. In fact, I think it took Jeremy Teal 34 minutes. And if you know that guy, he doesn't get tired. So what we're really looking at is 3 exercises, about 2.5 miles worth of running, 150 swings, 150 kettlebell, 150 swings, 150 pull-ups. What's notable about EVA particularly is that any of this triplet in any of its form is really its kind of capacity to challenge the overextension of our athletes. And one of the reasons I think that putting these couplets and triplets together, besides excellent fitness, is that it allows me to view athletes under load, under time domain, under competitive demands, and I'm going to see all their default tendencies in the safety of my own gym. So one of the things that I look for when I see people doing kettlebell swings and run and pull-ups, for example, is the capacity to maintain the trunk in a neutral position. As we get tired and lose integration, and as I even get tight from the workout, such a sustained workout, what I'm going to see is that the athlete's going to start to fall apart. When you swing the kettlebell, for example, we're going to see, and here's the test that you can do at home. Squeeze your butt, and this is how I control L5-S1 relationship. Pelvis is in neutral, ribcage is in and down. This represents the neutral two-handed position. Arms overhead for the full count. If I release my back or release my butt, I overextend. And just that subtle change in position represents an overextension fault that I magnify under load as that 2-pood kettlebell comes down, and now I'm overextended L5-S1. Still looks like I'm in a strong back position, but I've lost the relationship. I'm not bracing, and I'm violating this kind of one joint rule concept. So there's problem number one. So as I swing that kettlebell, I need to be hyper conscious of being able to be in good position at the top, and I control that so that as I load, I'm in a good position. Just like I was back squatting, I squeeze my butt to maintain this tight relationship, look to create torque and load. Same thing happens here. On the pull-apart, it's the same thing. If I tend to cross my legs or overextend, then I just spend about 150 pull-ups in overextended position, and then I go run, and I'm overextended again. No wonder we see this as being a back smoker exercise, because athletes are basically hanging on the overpressure of these little spinal joints. So thinking this through today, there's kind of 2 big ideas. I want to make sure I got enough overhead that I'm not limited in overextending. So I come up, if I'm stiff, I'm going to drive the rib cage, and then I'm overextended again. So here's what I'm going to do first. Let's get into that overhead prep with distraction and external rotation. So I'm going to wind up. You'll notice that my default was to internally rotate. I have to turn my wrist over. I'm going to hang out here. Contract, relax, get a couple minutes in this position, wind that lat up, and then I want you to work on that cueing. It's going to make a difference for you to be able to be overhead in a strong position, to pull consistently in a strong position, and to swing overhead. So we open that up, bias that tissue. 2 minutes each side. Second piece, tends to get smoked in a workout like this, your poor little external rotators, which tend to live on this part of your arm. So we can do a couple things. We can walk up to the wall, get that ball in there, and just unglue those things. Think about unsmashing them, especially if you're working out in the morning, you slept on your shoulder all night long, you laminated those shoulder tissues, pulling back and forth. Get a minute or 2. Some people think it takes that long to make any changes, but just monkey around, and you're going to see that it makes a big difference in terms of the quality of your extra rotation turnover. You can do that on the ground as well. Then I'm thinking the hip. At the very least, I want to make sure I've opened up the front of my hips. I'm going to see flexor WOD get tight, and if I'm overextended, or these tissues start to pull me forward, I'm not going to be able to squeeze my butt, which means I've just muted the big chain. So I've got to get open. Couch stretch is a good idea. Also, the ghoulie banded. So hanging out here, I can kick this into a little internal rotation if I want, and I can even scour across the front of the hip. Keep your butt on to support the joint, belly tight, don't overextend. I was working with a good athlete today who was like, oh my God, I'm always overextended. That's right. This relationship doesn't change. I just press the front of the hip, open that up, give that enough time, find your corners in dark truth. Then, finally, I might spend a second or 2 ungluing this. As I run, if I'm missing this internal rotation, in extension, this is the flexor mass that gets tight. I take my ball, put myself into the running position, and then I'm just going to scour that hip and glute. And what we find is that tight, glute min, glute med, TFL, really monks up the whole system. Now I'm going around. If I can't hit full extension, what's going to happen? I'm going to externally rotate on the pull-up and overextend again. So think about this workout, pull-ups, swings, running, not as just a chance to work on my fitness, but a chance to look at the problems of the athlete and screen for primarily an overextension fault. Good luck. We'll see you tomorrow.